When my cousin Cody and I were in our early 20s, we went on several camping trips around Colorado. This particular incident occurred when I was 22 and Cody was 23 in a raw forest. It was my first time camping there, though Cody had been there before. It was the middle of the week. I always let Cody take the lead on these trips since he's the Eagle Scout, not me. We parked by a picnic area and set foot into the woods from there. After about 15 minutes of hiking deeper into the woods, we found a suitable spot to set up camp, a clearing big enough for 2 tents, a portable stove, and a campfire. The first thing we did was unpack and set up our tents. Cody has always been much quicker than me at pitching a tent. He does it in just a few minutes, while it always took me over 20 minutes. In fact, I haven't been camping in the wilderness since then. The next task was creating a ring of stones for a fire and gathering some sticks and wood. Cody brought some fire starter and a lighter, so I guess we kind of cheated, but oh well. By this time, the sun was setting. We had a fire going, and Cody was grilling some steak and burgers. One thing about Cody is he always went all out with the food on these trips, and he's a really good cook, so I always trusted him with feeding us. Of course, we had our bear spray in case the smell of the food attracted a black bear, though Cody always said it was very unlikely. He always mentioned that the real danger in the woods was other people. As we ate our steak and burgers, we cracked open some beers and played some classic rock on the speaker. If you've never been camping, you don't understand how great moments like this are. Being in the wilderness with a friend or family member, reminiscing about good times, and vibing to music. As it got dark, we started playing card games on a little folding table we brought specifically for that purpose. After playing some traditional card games, we started a game of Uno. That's when we heard something out in the woods. I paused the music on my phone, making the speaker go silent. We clearly heard a person humming and footsteps beyond the trees in the pitch blackness of the forest. Cody urged me to find the flashlight. I tried, but by the time I found it, the sounds had faded away. I asked Cody if it was something to be concerned about, and he said it was definitely unusual for someone to be this deep in the woods, let alone creepily walking by a campsite with an active campfire, humming loudly. I was a bit shaken, and I saw Cody was too. We went back to playing cards with the music much lower now. When we least expected it, a big stick landed in the middle of our campsite, making us both jump out of our skin. It didn't fall from a tree. Someone had thrown it at us. Cody started yelling something along the lines of, "Whoever's out there messing with us, get a life and F***K off." Then we heard footsteps again, walking away from us. I suggested we pack up camp and move somewhere else. He said absolutely not in the dark. We both had bear spray, and he advised keeping it next to us in our tents when we went to sleep. It was the closest thing to a ranged self-defense weapon we had. We kept hearing sounds like tree branches cracking in the distance, sounds that didn't seem like they could be made by animals. Someone was out there, maybe multiple people. That much was clear. We had to sleep eventually, so we agreed to take turns keeping watch to ensure no one came to our campsite to steal anything or worse. Cody agreed to take the first watch and said he'd stay up and read his book. I crawled into my tent, into my sleeping bag, and went to sleep. Waking up in the middle of the night while camping is normal. You're in a cold outdoor environment and an uncomfortable sleeping bag, so any number of things could wake you up. I didn't yet know what woke me up. I was still in a fog, my brain not fully awake yet. I looked up and saw a head peering into my tent. It looked like Cody. I rubbed my eyes, but the darkness prevented me from seeing his face clearly. I said, "Cody?" thinking he was waking me up to take my turn at keeping watch. Gradually, I asked, "Is it my turn?" I stared at the head peering at me from my sleeping bag, slowly becoming more awake. Then, I heard the zipper of the tent quickly zip up, and his head disappeared. I laid back down in my sleeping bag for only a second. Suddenly, I had a weird moment of clarity, where I shot up to an upright position and listened as the footsteps walked away. "Cody?" I said. He didn't answer. I unzipped my tent to peek out at the campsite. The fire was dead, and Cody wasn't there. I went over to Cody's tent, which was zipped up. I unzipped it and looked inside to see Cody fast asleep in his sleeping bag. I got chills and goosebumps, whatever you want to call it. I almost soiled myself at the realization. I started shaking him awake, and when he finally woke up, I told him someone was at the campsite. It took him a minute to come back to reality, just like it had for me. But when he did, he grabbed his bear spray. He said he must have dozed off while reading and suggested I sleep in his tent that night. To do that, I'd need my sleeping bag. He came outside with me and stood watch as I ran to my tent to grab my sleeping bag. In my tent, grabbing my sleeping bag, I heard that goddamn humming again from outside. I grabbed it quickly, and Cody whispered at me to hurry up. I asked, "You hear that too?" He said yes. We both got back in his tent, zipped it up, and kept our cans of bear spray by our sides. I tell you, in those moments, I wanted nothing more than for a bear to come and save the day. The hours dragged on as I stayed up while Cody slept. After 3 long, horrible hours, I woke him up and we switched. When Cody woke me up, it was almost dawn. There was light outside. We packed everything up, and by the time we were done, there was plenty of light to hike back to the car. While we could have driven somewhere else and had another night of camping elsewhere, neither of us were feeling it anymore. This was a haunting experience, and I think we both just wanted to be in the safety of our homes. It's been 6 years since this happened, and Cody has asked me a few times about going camping again, but I haven't had any interest since this experience. People are just too scary. Why was someone out there stalking our campsite? The sight of that person's head in the dark, just looking into my tent, it was straight out of a nightmare. I may never go camping again,